Victor Wembanyama, proving he is a better MVP candidate than Cade Cunningham at this time. The Sacramento Kings, their zombie squad is out there winning games. And the Houston Rockets are back. My name is Levi Jacob,
I'm Jason Blatt.
and this is your daily basketball recap in 15 minutes or less. Jason, what is going on?
How you doing? What a great day for ball. What a great day for Jabari Smith Jr.
What a great day indeed. We can actually start with that game because none of these games were particularly pretty. It wasn't the best night of basketball, unfortunately. Jabari Smith Jr., 31 points. For the first time in how long did he score 30 points? Do you know?
It's been like a month and a half, 2 months.
This is after the infamous KD files call out. I don't. It's still hard for me to know exactly the timeline of when those things happened. I think everyone's trying to piece it together. Um, Not to mention the fact that it's still only allegedly KD,
No, it's KD.
but
I'm sure it's KD.
it's most likely KD.
Yeah.
It's most likely KD. As I said before, Jabari Smith Jr., 31 points, 9 rebounds, 3 steals, and 3 blocks. A very, very nice night for him. 12 of 17 shooting, 6 of 11 from 3-point range. He saw all the responses last game after he tried to take that game-winning shot, and everyone was like, "What do you think that you looking off Kevin Durant? What are you doing?" He was like, "Okay, all right, fine. I'm going to show you that I'm a real player." And this one game, he did that. We'll see if he keeps that up. But very, very nice output from him. Amen Thompson, 20 and 7, 6 turnovers. So maybe Amen Thompson at point guard. We need to figure out something else, I guess. I feel like there has to be somebody in the free agency market who can just do a little bit of this and a little bit of that on the playmaking side for them. Kevin Durant, 18, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 12 assists, a block and a steal. He had 34 minutes in this game. Amen Thompson was only with 29. Alperen Şengün, another 16, 9 and 9 with a steal and 2 blocks, 7 of 12 shooting. So he's getting the percentage up, which is nice to see because it's been really abysmal. Still on defense, I need more from him. I need more from him. He's very tall, and I don't know. Like you can't. It's hard for me to think that you're so skilled offensively and still have such a upsetting defensive output. Tari Eason put up 11, 10, and 4, and their sixth man, Reed Shepard, 15, 3, and 4, with 5 of 9 shooting. All of those are threes. Do you think that Reed Shepard is a contender for Sixth Man of the Year?
I don't think he's a contender for Six Man of the Year. However, I don't think he should be coming off the bench. So I I personally think that Amin Thompson is kind of being utilized in the wrong way. When you're off the bench point guard has more assists than your starting point guard. Clearly, maybe you're not running the offense correctly. I love Tari. I think if Tari had been coming off of the bench and he's been getting you that 10 plus points off the bench every game for the entire season, I actually think he could be a contender for Sixth Man of the Year. But no, this is a runaway. This is a runaway. AJ's. I would bet AJ is going to get it. There are a few other content. Actually, I don't know if AJ has the games anymore, but
I think it is still.
yeah. So then I think AJ's run away with it. Like when you have a Six Man of the Year that you can plug and play for injuries, like that's Malcolm Brogdon. Like that's it's too easy.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, Reed's great. I'm a big fan of Reed Shepard. I think that give him some more mentorship from Van Vliet. I I think he really could be going forward with this team. I really really like this, and I just want to go back to Jabari. Like he's my guy. I think a lot of the culmination of this talent. I think he's had a lot of hate as of late. Previous go for winning shot, the KD files. I think people forget like going to the 2022 draft. He was like he could have been the number one. Like he had come off of a fantastic stint at Auburn. Everyone like remembers Paolo and Chet being the stars of that draft. Like no, I thought Jabari was going first overall there, and he's a stud. I don't think we should all be surprised when he goes off for this. We've seen him do it in college. We know he could do it in the league. Um, he's surrounded by the Rockets starting lineup. So what are you supposed to do? I really love that Jabari went off. I agree with your Şengün takes. I think that we're getting into the era of lazy offensive European bigs. Like you think back to the day, like Arvydas Sabonis was not sitting on the sidelines while his team was playing defense. Like Jokic for some reason, but he's getting better. But Jokic, Sabonis, Şengün, these guys just like watch their team get back on defense.
I would say that Jokic, in his defense, is more utilized on offense, but in the same token, he has gotten so much more. Like it's a lot of whatever. You can always compare the stats from the ages, like how old Şengün is now versus Jokic at the time, whatever. But the reality is also that he adapted his defense to be able to play much better in passing lanes. He plays a certain kind of defense. In team defense, obviously his rotations are slower. They got Aaron Gordon for that exact reason. But I just think that his situational awareness shows more of a want to commit on defense as opposed to Şengün, who like I just feel like sometimes he really, really, really just doesn't care to be in the correct place on defense. And it's like it's just frustrating because you're 7 feet tall. Literally, like, you're not a guard. You don't have to run the whole perimeter. You just have to rotate well, keep your hands up, especially in an Ime Udoka defense. Like that he just wants you to be a dog out there. Okay, assert some effort, some energy, and I just feel like there's certain points at which he just doesn't at all. It's very strange, but I don't know. I don't know if a point guard taking more of the playmaking role off of his shoulders will enable him to put more energy in out there, or more of a floor general being vocal out there. It's it's hard. It's hard.
I think
I feel. I also just feel bad for him.
right. You just I think that they really need Reed. I really like when they have a lineup out there with a starting point guard with someone who could assist the ball. Right. Ahmed has a lot of other things that are going on. I think Şengün is a really, really good player that's still trying to find his footing in this offense, and that is distracting from what he needs to be doing on the other side of the ball. The guy has a very large wingspan. He's over 2 meters. Like he should be able to get more than a few blocks a game. And if you look through his stat line, there are a lot of games where it's just on those stats.
What's also weird to me is the fact that I think that there are certain points at which, because of the Ime Udoka kind of lack of an approach to really orchestrate an offense, him and Amen Thompson, who are kind of polar opposites as players, become redundant, which is so like them in their efforts become redundant. It's just weird to me. I don't know. It's very strange. I was talking about this the other day because I think that Asar Thompson is actually a lot closer to Amen Thompson than a lot of people think. But I think because Asar Thompson has more of a defined role on his team as opposed to Amen Thompson, who's like, you know what, just be you, man. Just be, like I think it helps him funnel that into more productive play for his team. Not that Amen Thompson isn't productive; he's incredible. Both of them are really incredible players. But I just feel like they've kind of left it up to KD to orchestrate the offense for some reason, and he's getting very resentful about it. And it's just like have a mediator in there, like bring in an offensive coordinator, like there's an easier way to do this, and they just keep kind of banging their heads against the wall because they're like, no, but offensive rebounding, and you're like, okay, but you don't have any centers anymore. Everyone's injured. Like, can you just relax?
I think if you're lucky to have a defensive wing like one of the Thompson twins, let them be that. Let them be the defensive wing. I don't want. Amen went on a crazy, crazy run with his 10 plus points, assists, rebounds, steals, blocks, but he can't. He's a young player, right? Think about Kawhi on the Spurs versus Kawhi on the Raptors. We need Amen to be Kawhi on the Spurs. Play defense, get his shots up. He's not yet Kawhi in 2019 where he's doing everything.
That's actually interesting. It's an interesting comp to have those two together because like I feel like a young Kawhi Leonard was like he's more like restricted. Like he was like very coordinated, was more restricted. I feel like Amen is like more explosive, but like I think it's a
But think about this. Was that difference because of the player or was the difference because of the coach? Because we've seen Kawhi explosive. We've seen Kawhi on the Raptors. We've seen Kawhi on the Clippers. Even like 2017-18 Spurs. Like he really was a number one option on the
I
off.
feel like his mechanics though were more fine tuned. Like you can tell that Kawhi is a psychopath not just because of like his expressionlessness, but like also because the way that he plays the game is he's so fixated on every aspect of it. Even the way that he releases the ball, the way he squares his shoulders, like he's very calculated. Everything is very calculated. I feel like Amen is, and maybe it happens. I think we've seen it with Derrick Rose also over the course of gaining experience and reps. Right. Sometimes the skill then balances out with the raw talent. so it could happen for him. I would love to see it. Like, I just want to see good basketball players, and I think that he definitely has that potential. But I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see. On the other side of the ball, Larry Markkinen. Um, I don't think it was his first game back in a while, but he's the Jazz just play him on and off.
Mm.
But the Rockets did a good job on defense. He's shot 10 for 23, only hit one 3-pointer out of 10. But I just like seeing Larry Markkinen on the court, and I really hope that next year they're not tanking. I don't know what all the deal is with Adam Silver being weird about we're stopping tanking. Like, now we've decided to do this after all these teams have the other teams draft picks and whatever. Like, whatever. I don't understand what the whole deal about it this season specifically is. Aside from that, Bryce Sensabaugh, 26 points for him. He did a nice game there with a 10 of 15 shooting, 4 of 8 from the 3-point range. Um, Overall, though, they played really, really good defense. Kyle Filipowski is getting these weird stat lines. He got like 6 steals last game and 5 steals this game. Like, but he's very slow. That's what's weird about it to me. He's not a fast player. He's not a good defensive player, but he really that's an example. He plays the passing lanes really nicely. Plays the passing lanes very, very well. And it could be a good piece off the bench for them next season when hopefully again they are not tanking. Any more notes about this game for you?
Yeah, I think it's interesting watching the Jazz run this dual timeline. They look very similar to what the Warriors were doing 2 years ago, where it's like, yeah, we also have Lauri Markkanen who can go for almost 30 points a game. Yeah, we also have great players to support him and Sensabaugh and this and that. But like, also we're sitting Triple J and we're also developing these young players and we're also like, oh cool, Filipowski is something to look forward to. Like, it's just a weird place the NBA is currently in. And you talk about this with Adam Silver, like when the Hawks have AD and Trey and they're sitting on their bench, or when Nurkic has nose surgery to end the season, like it's just weird. It's weird.
Do you think this is the age old question? Is like too much talent really a problem? But I feel like because they have so many people who I want to see play more on this team, like Isaiah Collier, since Keontae George has been out, he didn't play this game. I thought he was supposed to play this game. What happened? Um, since he's been out, Isaiah Collier has been really performing very, very well as a point guard for them, playmaking for them. He's not going to have the ball in his hands next season. Like, maybe these are all additions for potential. They want to get more draft picks in the future to try to trade these guys who otherwise are taking up time. But I'm just, I don't know. I like the players that this team has, and I just want to see them play. That's my only hold up with this.
Yeah, I think we could do a whole other episode on this whole tanking thing and whatnot. But yeah, you're right. The fact that NBA players now are better than they ever were, whether that's because of conditioning or technology, whatever it is, like that's what makes tanking so hard. Where, think about the Bobcats in the early 2010s. Like they were
I don't want to.
We're losing game after game after game. Why? Because like you or I could have suited up for that team. Like genuinely, they were terrible teams. Here, the Utah
Yeah.
Jazz are trying to lose games, but they can't. Like unless they start sitting players in the fourth, they can't lose games. Why? Because even the worst of worst teams have a starting lineup that includes Kyle Filipowski and Bryce Sensabaugh and Ace Bailey and Isaiah Collier, who like players that shouldn't be as scoring 10, 20 points, getting these crazy John Stockton assist lines. But NBA players are just really, really good.
Yeah, and they know how to draft apparently. Apparently the Jazz know what they're doing. Okay, next. The Kings. Hey, the Kings. Some positive news for them. Win 123 against the Grizzlies 114. The Grizzlies literally, I think that they got most of these guys from someone's G League team. Obviously not really, but it's it's a little bit it's a little bit sad to see. Russell Westbrook 25 points, 2 rebounds and 7 assists. Finally, Doug Christie decided, hey, you know what? Why don't I just put Russell Westbrook out there and see what happens? Precious Achiuwa had a good game for him, but again, they're playing against the ghost of Grizzlies past. 22 and 12 for Precious Achiuwa. DeMar DeRozan, 19 points. Maxime Reynau, very glad that I picked him up in fantasy, 10 and 13 with 4 offensive rebounds, which was very nice for him. Good job again against nobody on the defensive end. Plowden, I don't know who that is. I don't even know who that is. Never heard of him before, but
Daquan
probably Derek.
Loud.
Derek? Devin?
Daquan.
19 and 5. Daquan. Oh man. See? Nick Clifford, like we mentioned before, most ridiculous thing in the whole entire world. Apparently, I didn't know this, but he gets the most steals ever in games, I think, according to NBA history. 12, 6, 5, and 6 for him. I don't even know what that is. And Malik Monk playing 19 minutes, had 10 points, 4 of 10 shooting. Poor Malik Monk because he deserves to be on a better team. I like Malik Monk. Um, I'm not gonna read through the Grizzlies box score because I'll be honest with you,
Olivia in Principe doesn't pull you.
no.
What about
And I don't think that anybody listening,
the second?
I'll say Walter Clayton Jr. I like him. I think he's going to be an NBA caliber player. Gigi Jackson, I also think Jalen Wells. They have good players, but I don't think anybody's relevant right now. Or like personally, I'm going to be honest. I don't think that I would watch the Grizzlies play the Thunder. They're kind of in the Nets territory for me, where it's like they look like they're a high school team a little bit right now. And on top of that, the Nets at least have guys who like sometimes will have like crazy stat lines that you're like, oh, I guess he knows how to play basketball, and like he's like they all look like Shengun to me at some points, like oh, I guess that guy had a triple double. Who knew that he could do that? Um, Joman is I like him. He's good. Like even if Cedric Coward was on the floor for them, he's injured. So good luck to the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm very sorry for their fan base that this is how this has turned out. I'm happy for you that Ja probably won't be on this team next year because it seems like that's what all of you want. But yeah, not nice to watch them play basketball. That's the truth.
No, I saw a great stat someone put up of just recent games we've been seeing why injuries are this year are just baffling. You put up like the starting lineup of the 2022 Grizzlies and the 2022 Warriors, and then put up the starting lineups we saw last night for the Grizzlies and 2 nights ago from the Warriors. Like we got Jalen Wells and Guy Santos replacing John Morant and Steph Curry. Like
You know what? You know what? Key Santos, he's been looking like a
Guy Santos is an NBA player. That is a
he's been looking like a real 10th man on a team. Let me tell you.
like it's I'll say this, and again, just going back to that tanking conversation, like this is why what Adam Silver's doing on the one side makes tons of sense because of what the Jazz and the Wizards and the Pacers and all they're doing. On the other hand, makes no sense because you do have situations like the Grizzlies and the Kings and the I mean not the Warriors, but like what are they supposed to do? Like if Adam Silver flattens the draft odds, like what Jalen Wells and Gigi Jackson and Cam Spencer are going to be starting for the Grizzlies next year. Like what are they supposed to do? I like what he's doing with like the really specific call outs that like if your team was a runner up in the NBA finals last year and you are named the Indiana Pacers and Tyrese Halliburton is injured, you can't no. But like what
That's a stupid policy to me because now we're saying that there can never be another situation in which, for example, the Spurs get Tim Duncan. Like it's just like the answer to me. Again, we could do a whole different podcast about this. I spoke about this a couple days ago. Make it that like the 10th seed gets highest odds, and make them have to still win some. And if you don't win too many, that's fine. But at least try to compete at some point throughout the season because this is not working. And removing the lottery to just be like, okay, Ace Bailey last year can just go and sign with the Nets like he wants. No, no, I don't think anybody really wants that either. Like, just
well
stop it.
no, but I think it's whatever. Different podcast. I have a few ideas on the draft thing, but back to this game. I think that we as NBA fans deserve a little more. And if truly they're just sitting players and they're not actually injured, like if Zach LaVine can actually play, if Ja Morant can actually play, like if
Ty Jerome.
Ty Jerome, Santi Aldama, like if these players can actually get on the court, like put him on the court, like put him on the court. Really, like what are we doing here? You are the fans are paying you money to pay these players to be on the court. Imagine if someone paid you to come fix their shower as a plumber and you said, nah, my nose is broken. I'm sending in my second round pick to do it for me. Like, that's just not how the world works.
And all I'm asking of the Grizzlies is that if they really are still going to do this, at least just let Walter Clayton Jr. do what he did in Florida. Like, just make it fun to watch. Let some guy try to get 60 points. Like that's all. Let Corey Brewer do his thing. Like give me something to be interested in while watching.
Actually crazy, 3 players took more than 10 shots.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like all of a sudden it turns into like, no, we're going to be like college basketball. Nobody wants to watch it. It's the NBA. You go for name value. Have a rookie go crazy.
They literally had every single player played 20 minutes.
But I don't want to watch Jamal
That's
Mashak.
no, but that
I,
straight up is how March Madness looks. Just like we have a 10-man roster, just you all get like a half the time.
well, except for the fact that again, you have players like Walter Clayton Jr. who you're just like, okay, now just go out and shoot as many threes as you possibly can.
Yeah.
And he did not. He didn't do that this game. Okay, next and probably most important game of the night, really. But I wanted to leave the best for last. Yeah, the San Antonio Spurs
Look at
just put a smackdown. They put a smackdown on this Detroit Pistons team. The Detroit Pistons' high spot was the fact that Jalen Duren looked like, I guess, like a man, like he always does. But 25 and 14 for him, an assist and 2 steals, but 10 of 13 shooting against Wemby, which is impressive. He had 4 personal fouls, which is surprising that he didn't have more. Like I was watching the beginning of this game for the first half, and I was like, he's actually playing Wemby really well. He's being physical, but he's playing Wemby very, very well. I'm very impressed by this, which just speaks to his, again, all-star season that he's having so far. Cade Cunningham shot 5 of 26. Devin Vassell played excellent, excellent defense on Cade Cunningham. Um, Really very impressive. Cade Cunningham came through the defense 16, 6, 10, 2 steals and 3 blocks. He's been really dialing it in on the defensive side of the ball. I don't know to tell you that this outcome for Cade Cunningham's stat line was Cade's fault per se. I think that like this is what happens when you don't have a secondary playmaker for the Pistons. He usually is able to rise to this kind of occasion, especially like you saw with the Knicks a couple games ago. But it was not the case this game. The Spurs really hounded him pretty effectively. Duncan Robinson had 13. And aside from that, Ron Holland off the bench at 15 and 11 on 5 of 13 shooting. And Paul Reed chipped in as usually Paul Reed does. I like Paul Reed. I think he's a fun bench player, and I think people disrespect him. But even when he was on the Sixers, he like whenever they called his number, he was out there. He was contributing. Um, what do you think, before we get into the Spurs side of this? What do you think about people saying if Wemby and Jokic and SGA fall into issues with eligibility as far as their candidacy for MVP this season? People are shouting from the rooftops, Luka. To be fair, Luka also might run into eligibility issues, number one. But number two is Cade Cunningham is running the number one team in the East. They have the top defense in the league. He's doing it with pretty crazy numbers, and he's basically their whole offense. Everything that happens on offense runs through him. He plays so many minutes a game because when he's not out there, Dennis Jenkins does the playmaking for them, but it's not the same process. Do you think that there's again, with the eligibility issues for games played, do you think there's a real I've been harping on this because I spoke about it before the season because I really believe in this Pistons team before anybody gets on me. But do you believe there's a case to be made for Cade Cunningham and his MVP eligibility here?
Yeah, here's what I'll say. Let's knock out the 3. Let's knock out Wemby, Shea, and Jokic just because that's a different play. I think if we're going down to the next 3, I really think it's a 1A, 1B, and then and then number 2, 3, however you do that math. I think Luka, you have to sit him back for a second. I think that we need to figure out how to fit him into the office. But I think 1A and 1B, Cade, Jaylen Brown. And I think Cade's amazing. And I really think it just depends on what metrics you're using to decide your MVP. I think in terms of stats, Cade is number 4 if you take out those top 3. So he's the top 1. But who is the most valuable player? And I'm saying this as a diehard Lakers fan. I think it goes to JB over Cade.
Interesting. We had a big conversation about this 2 days ago on Sunday with Shlomo, where he said, "Who is the more valuable player?" I think to be honest with you, and the thing I wasn't able to address in the conversation with him, it's all narrative based. Whoever the media wants to say is the most valuable player.
Also, it's not most
That being,
impactful. There is 100 different factors that go into this.
in my mind, what it comes down to, and is a very, very important piece, which is the same thing, what my argument was for Shea last year. The Thunder without Shea last year would have still been a very good team. The amount that he made the Thunder better last year was meaning like right the impact felt from 2 to 3 is not as big of a jump as 0 to 1, but still he was like 2 to 5. Like he was on such a high level, even at times where the Thunder were kind of more in a dip. And I think he was the most valuable player. This is one of those seasons where you're watching the the Pistons win with a heliocentric player on offense. And to make matters even better, I just think his defensive contributions are also viable enough that he's not ever played off the floor defensively. Jaylen Brown, as you're saying, absolutely. I think it's like a toss up for me between Kawhi and him, but I do think that he is the better two-way player right now in the NBA. I think that he likely is the best two-way player in the NBA right now. Um,
Yeah, that's why I
that being said, Cade, like just by the nature of Cade having the ball in his hands more, and the fact that they are the first seed so so dominantly the first seed, I feel like that has to also get credit, you know?
yeah, I think that's a big problem with, with sports awards is that there is no set metrics, and for one reason that's great, that like allows it to be fluid, but also like, okay, so is this MVP going to be a Steve Nash SGA MVP where it's just like who's the best player on the best team? Like who runs the offense? Who runs this team? Or is it going to be a 2017 Westbrook, a 2011 D Rose, the standout player from a team that wasn't expected to be as amazing as it was? And if that's the case, Jaylen Brown being a second option for almost 10 years, now standing in as the first option and bringing the Celtics to a first seed when his second best player is Derek White or Peyton Pritchard, Naemis Kita being their best center. Like if Jaylen Brown is bringing that team to the second seed, and that kind of aura is what got Westbrook his MVP, it's what got D Rose his MVP, it's what then that's the case. Like if you want to just go like who is the best player on the best team, like that's it. There's a lot of previous MVPs that should have been taken away, and LeBron and Kobe should both have many more. But then it goes to Cade, and it depends on which voter you are, what your logic is.
I'm also interested to see is there's also like the difficulty of schedule left for some teams, whatever. There are still enough games left to play that this narrative is going to shift about a dozen times before the season ends, anyways. So
Yeah,
I'm interested to see how it builds, but like for example, I think that these are very key moments to build the legacy of what could be an MVP campaign. And I think unfortunately for Cade in this situation, in this game specifically, right? He was really coming to the forefront because he did that to the Knicks a couple nights ago. Um, this is one of the situations where when you don't exactly meet the expectation, the the legacy that is existing gets dinged a little bit for sure. Um,
well, that's and on the topic of legacy, I also for me that's why I am strongly against the 65 game rule. Just on the topic of legacy.
yeah, for sure.
20 years from now, they're going to be saying, "Oh, what happened to Jokic?" And he had MVP, 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 and then what? It went to Shea one year, then it went to Cade one year. Like, what did he fall off? Like, no, he averaged a triple double. He led in both rebounds and assists in the 2025-2026 season, but like he played one less game than he was allowed to win the award. Like, and who cares? Who cares about the award?
But that's gonna be the unfortunate nature of like what happened with the COVID season with the Lakers championship, which I don't personally have a problem with. Is like all these asterisks come about because people are like, oh well, games played, and the reason why the games played was such an issue is because Joel Embiid, like if you remember all those years back, Joel Embiid almost won Rookie of the Year despite the fact that he didn't play a lot of games.
Right.
Or not rookie, like when it wasn't his rookie season, technically speaking, but like remember, like and it ended up going to Malcolm Brogdon. And everyone was like, "Oh, but Joel." Like I feel like the fire started there,
Yeah,
and then it just kind of rose into whatever this is.
I think one thing that's really important to keep in mind, and I saw Chris Broussard was talking about this, like he's a voter, and he was talking about how like the league shouldn't be telling voters how to vote. Like Chris Broussard is a voter. He would not vote for Giannis to be MVP, even if Giannis played 30 games this season and scored 40 plus points in all of them. Like the
Right.
voters, if you want to start doing anything to refine the voting system, then refine who the voters are. Like if you have a voter that would pick, think about the season. Let's say Jokic misses the entire rest of the season. He plays a maximum of 45 games, right? Like you shouldn't have voters that would be picking him in the first place. Get rid of the rule because right now you are dealing with very arbitrary lines that like, okay, let's say Jokic misses 17 games and he averages his triple double with 10 plus rebounds and assists. Like he doesn't win the MVP because he missed one game. Like, no, the voters should be able to decide, no, missing 17 games is nothing. He is the MVP.
Right. Yeah, it's hard. It's. I think it just goes back to the fact that like people value different things when it comes to different parts. Like as you said, which is funny because in sports, I feel like you would think that it's so metrics based, but it's really not because you can tell a story a thousand different ways through metrics. Uh, Even as political as like the defensive player of the year gets, when like Marcus Smart won it, and there's like a lot of people who are like that. Look at all these advanced stats; it makes no sense. And it was like, no, but you have to understand within the like it's so ridiculous. But still, I feel like the 65 thing is everyone kind of can see now. Okay, it's that it shouldn't be what it is. Um, and on top of that, I think it's the thing that comes to awards all the time is like you're saying with the refinement of who the judges are. The difficulties I think that the game has changed so significantly in such a short span of time that it's so difficult to gauge. Like, remember people were like, no, like there's no way that the Warriors are going to win jump shooting, and it's like now every single team plays that way. Like the Nets have done that for the last however many years, not necessarily successfully, but like it's very interesting to me. That being said, going back to the Spurs, Devin Vassell had a 28-point game. Very nice for him. He's missed a bunch of games this season, but he still is just as reliably 3 and D. They get the shots to him when he needs it. Wemby, 21, 17, 4, 1 steal, 6 blocks, 6 of 16 shooting, 7 of 8 from the free throw line, hitting 2 threes. He's just a human cheat code still. It's so shocking when you're watching him play. Julian Champagny had 17. Stefan Castle, like we were saying, 16, 4, and 11 with a steal and a block. His he took a back seat a little bit for a couple weeks there. Now he's more in the driver's seat again. He's the one who's doing the main distributing, main ball handling for them. 10, 7, and 7 for De'Aaron Fox on 4 of 17 shooting. Keldon Johnson off the bench is still killing it with 4 of 11 shooting. No, I'm just kidding. He played very good defense in this game as well. On their wings, really did a good job of boxing out for people to be able, like Wemby, to be able to get more boards, things like that. Just in terms of the eye test. And I I'm I'm very impressed with this Spurs team, which is the thing that I want to call myself out for because Shlomo was not here today to do it for me. I'm very proud of myself for believing that the Pistons were the best team in the East. Uh, Starting from last summer, I really since the playoffs ended, I was like, I think this team is better than the Knicks. I still think that they are for right now. I did not believe that this Spurs team was going to be this good so fast. I really thought that the Rockets were going to be better than them, and I really thought that the Mavs were going to figure it out. And they did.
Yeah.
Both those things are not true, and the Spurs team is here and now, and it's incredible to watch. They've done such a good job, and at no not not to not mention um, the coaching is just so exceptional. With all the pieces that they had, everyone's like wondering like how are they going to deal with the ball handling? There's too many guards, all this stuff. Just hasn't been a problem. It hasn't been a problem. They've had everybody has filled in exactly how they've needed. Luke Cornett included, really just a masterclass. Incredible game, incredible season so far.
Yeah, I want to add on to that, like huge kudos to coaching, huge kudos to Miss Johnson. Like this team looks fantastic. I think one thing that we also need to put into perspective, and this message goes from me to everyone running the tanking organizations that we were talking about before. Sometimes good coaching and good development just works. Like sometimes it just works. Think about the Spurs roster 3 years ago and Gregg Popovich just like figuring things out with Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Derek White, like who's going to turn into what, whatever. Like we all thought, I personally thought it was going to be Johnson, and then Vassell's going to be the 1B or maybe get moved. And like, that's not what happened. And why wasn't that what happened? Because they had the second greatest coach of all time developing these players, putting them through the work, and like I'm a big fundamentals guy. Like sometimes fundamental, not sometimes, always fundamentals is that's just how you do it. And like these players were so lucky to have Gregg Popovich in that beginning of their development, and like Wemby is so lucky to just be popping into a system that Popovich built. And like that's just sometimes what you need is just good coaching, right?
It's Gregg Popovich.
It's just no, just like you just need a good coach. You need a good. You just need people just like forget sometimes. Like the league is very star based, but like sometimes it's just also about the infrastructure. Like you throw LeBron into a spell,
Absolutely.
you throw Kobe into a Jackson offense. Like throwing Wemby into a Popovich team is just like that. That's why they're winning. That's why I've been high on them.
That's why one of the most upsetting things to me throughout watching basketball for as long as I've been watching basketball, I just wish that we had a coach that put LeBron in a system like this. Like, I feel like Ty Lue was probably the closest that we got. Honestly, Spoelstra has had a weird up and down as far as coaching his career. He got a lot of Dion Waiters, which was weird. But like this and JJ Redick, I would say for the second half of last season, very genuinely is probably some of the best on the fly coaching that I've seen throughout my time watching basketball, which is not so not as nuanced as some others, but it was impressive the defenses that they were able to orchestrate with Luca on the floor. Whereas with this season, right, obviously it looks a little bit more lackluster, but and even as far as Austin Reeves, also like they were all contributing, and Rui was really involved, and things like that. Um, but I just feel like if LeBron ever got to be a part of a team like this,
Yeah.
he would literally be and it's no surprise, the best glue guy.
Yeah, I mean that's LeBron. LeBron says that his only true regrets his whole career is he never got to play with Steph and he never got to play for Pop. Like those were the two things he always wish happened, and it would have been like LeBron on he says this all the time on the podcast, like the Mind the Gap podcast, like there was a formula. There was a very easy formula for a LeBron James winning team. Like it was very you knew exactly which four players needed to be put around him, and those who did it won a championship. And like again, sometimes
And Rob Pelinka came.
and then Rob Pelinka decided why have a big whatever. No, that 2020 team fit the mold also. You had AD instead of bullshit, whatever. Um, again, sometimes just fundamentals, coaching and fundamentals. That's why, like, just total side note, like, I know you're big on like the whole thing the Hornets have gone on. They're fun to watch. I'm not a Hornets guy. They're not playing fundamental basketball.
I think in a very bizarre way, just because of the fact that I've watched them over the course of this season in their winning and losing, they've had some really close losses. Like their record could be a lot better than it is currently. They've had such a revolving door of players in regards to their health. I think that Charles Lee, I like I would always hear Bill Simmons talk about Charles Lee. I was like, yeah, all right. Like, like he'd be like, I actually kind of like Charles Lee. And I was like, I don't know what there is to even like. Like, I don't understand what I'm looking at. Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball look horrendous out there at certain points. And like, I just don't. This season has really opened my eyes to the fact that like, no, you've gotten certain buy-in from different players, including the fact that Musa Diabate is their starting center. I love Musa Diabate. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever think that he was going to be a productive member of a winning basketball team in that capacity as a starting center. I, I, I very seriously am so impressed with what Charles Lee has done. And there is a certain amount of the Hornets play style that is there. It's still grounded with fundamentals. I agree with you that it's more of a modern style of basketball with their run and gun, and they're a little bit more. But if you go back and look at all that, um, what was it called with the Suns team? Run TMC, was that what it was?
Run wasn't
Run.
wasn't Run TMC the Warriors?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. You're right. That's 100% you're right.
No, the 5-second offense with Steve Nash and
it was the like we've had very many iterations of that. This version that Charles Lee is running is more based in flexibility, but still having people in the correct spots. And I'm very impressed by the team defense that they are able to play out there because LaMelo Ball is out there. I don't I don't trust him to be able to do like I didn't think he could do anything productive. He could be fun as a basketball player in previous seasons. I haven't seen him play winning basketball.
Ye the one thing I will say is I hear everything you're saying. I think that, and again, this is going from a recap to a fundamentals conversation, but their coaching is important, and there's a reason Showtime had never been tried before Pat Riley, when when basketball was much more basic and back to its base bones pre-1983. Showtime works with particular players. When you have a Magic, when you have a Nash, there are certain players that you need a player with an IQ,
Skill.
and
Right.
it's just like it's someone whose goal is to pass, not to score. Because that was Magic's whole bit. Magic's goal was I'm going to get the end of the court to the end of the court, and I'm not going to be the one to put the hole in the basket. Like that's going to be someone else. And while I'm running down the court, my goal is to find who in their spot is going to make that shot. And Nash has demodeled a lot of his game after that. The problem with facilitating that today is the egos in today's players don't match that. And there's a reason LaMelo during this crazy period has had these crazy stat lines. And I think it's fluky. I think he's just been on a hot streak. Magic was not scoring 20 plus points per game. LaMelo should not be facilitating an offense that runs similar to Showtime and also taking 15 field goals.
But to be fair, he's been shooting like below 40% from the field over the past month and a half. Like
But it,
overall, this last game, the 37 points was like really a whatever you want to call it, a blip on
yeah,
the.
that's the reason that is because I don't have like a whole highlight reel to snapshot and show you.
Yeah.
How many times do you think LaMelo ran down the court with the goal in mind of running this fast offense, didn't see a player open, so just chucked a shot? Like he does that all the time because his mind is not prepped to like the way Magic would run down the court. Magic is one of my favorite all time players because he would run down the court, and once he saw everyone was on there,
He surveyed
he
everything
will
going on.
do. And LaMelo is not there yet, where he's thinking, okay, how does our team score? His goal is how do I score?
I think you're 100% correct. However, I'm seeing growth, and that's what I'm judging this based off of. Is I'm seeing the conversion of a player into something more advanced and something more with depth that he did. Like coming into the league, right? He had all the highlights and the flashy scoring. He would point at the half court line and shoot from there, and it was all nonsense. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing that side of it die down, and him become a actually a smarter basketball player. He's making less dumb decisions game to game than he used to. And on top of that is the fact that Brandon Miller, who also, by the way, over the last, I want to say, month, has also been shooting somewhere around 40%.
Yeah, but I would buy
But
stock.
I really like him a lot. I think he also has really, really great two-way potential. Um, but I'm not willing to die on the island that the difference maker in that whole entire process is Con Knipple. He's exceptional. He plays winning basketball. He really does. But he's not the difference between a winning Charlotte team and a losing Charlotte team. On top of that, having a veteran like Grant Williams be a contributor on both sides of the floor, I think that to me it really reminds me of the Pistons from was it the start of last year or 2 years ago where
That little
they
run.
had that crazy losing season
Yeah, yeah.
and you put somebody next to Cade who's able to shoot and you gave him Duran as a big man to run the floor, big energy guy. By the way, fun thing, I don't know if I discussed it on this pod at all. Duran and Diabate have like prior beef before the whole thing that happened this year. Like they competed in high school, they're part of the same class. There's like literally videos of them like beefing in high school, which is hilarious to me. But like he's a similar type of guy. Duran obviously blows him out of the water as far as his actual skill, but it's the winning formula for these heliocentric guards, big heliocentric guards, because the small guards are kind of on the out as we've seen. But I I'm just very like James Borrego is another version of that because he also was playing with the Hornets. He was like the last like winning coach that LaMelo had also. It's a certain Charles Lee has grounded it more in like the fact that they surrounded Cade with Tobias Harris and had a shooting guard who's a shooting guard. Like you see it kind of in this makeup as well. To me, I'm impressed with the direction of this Hornets team. Um, I just think that they're a little bit more conventionally sound than you might think or somebody else might think.
No, I
When you're watching them really, out there.
think the talent's there. I like what they're trying out. I would encourage, because their starting point guard is more of a scorer than a facilitator, I would encourage attempting similar styles of offenses that are full court offenses, but less so showtime. I would encourage the Hornets to model their offense a bit after the Dame and CJ offense. I would be curious to see if they played a bit like that, where they had Brandon and LaMelo sharing the facilitation, both of whom could score at a high clip, both on both sides of the arc, with players stretching the floor a bit. I would encourage them to look into that because it combines the full court offense with a bit more of scoring guards than what they're currently trying, which is doing Showtime, but with a point guard that's going to keep chucking shots because LaMelo wants to get his 30 points per game. I mean, I think that'll bring them a bit to the middle because again, when 2025, the Showtime doesn't work. Steve Nash doesn't work. You need a bit more of that kind of dual threat.
I agree with you. I think a weird wrinkle in all of this is I think that they will be skewed closer to the less committed style of basketball once Kobe White plays for them, honestly. I don't
Playing,
yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be this season. I think he's
but
supposed to
like in
be
the
evaluated some
starting
point.
unit,
No, I'm saying even in the minutes that he has, Colin Sexton was a really interesting piece in all of this because Colin Sexton is more of a veteran than Kobe White is. He knows how to get his shots when they are appropriate, which is a funny thing because Colin Sexton did not do that at the beginning of his career, and his defense is like so whatever. He's a whole other story. Kobe White, I think he's like purely he's like a lower tier version of Keontae George for me,
yeah.
to me, and I don't. I mean, he shoots better from three, obviously, but I would have liked it better if they had utilized they need people to spread the floor better. Miles Bridges doesn't really do that, but they need the physicality.
I was
So
gonna
if
say
they
they should try and flip.
I think definitely they should try to do that. Still, but I don't want them to lose the physicality is my issue because I really think that Ryan Kalkbrenner is great, but he's like lanky, like he doesn't bring the enforcer presence that they need. And I would really like them to be able to try and go get and I think to speak to as you're saying, I want them to get a second similar to what I want the Pistons to do. I want them to get a secondary playmaker because uh, Con Knipple is more of a connective playmaker. Not to take anything away from him, again, he's exceptional, and he might even develop into that. But I would really like them to get like a Cam Spencer, for example, who's a rookie this year. I understand that, but he shoots exceptionally well when he has the opportunity to shoot. He's a high percentage shooter. You got to guard him, but he's looking to make the pass first. Um, that's why I thought that there was a lot of discussion about Lonzo potentially going to the Hornets. I think it's interesting. I just don't think that he can play.
I
Like I
want
don't think he can stay on the court.
I want to see a Jones as the backup point guard in
Jones, who's Jones?
Trey or Tyus.
Trey Jones would be awesome.
I want to see
Tyus Jones, I don't I don't trust Tyus Jones after
well, Tyus Jones
no.
defined his magic. Like, no pun intended, literally how he played on the
Ha
Magic.
ha 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 ha
But
ha ha.
yeah,
Yeah, it'd be interesting. And also, if that person happened to be also a defender, big time plus,
yeah,
big time plus.
yeah.
Um, yeah, but it's. I'm excited for this. I think I'm gonna publish this as a separate piece even because it's like a whole other thing. But um, yeah, I'm excited for this Spurs team. I'm excited to see them in the playoffs. I really want to see what they have in the playoffs when push comes to shove because the way that they're playing right now, to be honest with you, there are certain teams that I don't feel will look different, right? The Cavs last year obviously did look different when it came to playoff time. There's a certain intensity. I don't think that they will be as good as they are now. However, 75% of what the Spurs are now is still really friggin' good. Um,
I want to see this
and I'm excited for them.
in the playoffs. I want to see it.
I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Whoever they match up against, honestly, like I want to see them in a 7-game series against another team and see if the other team is able to tinker and figure it out and see if Josh is able to adjust to it. Like I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
For sure, for sure.
Okay, that was your daily basketball recap in a lot of time. Jason, I want to thank you for coming on and joining us. I want to give a special shout out to Shlomo. I want to give a special shout out to
Denny's medical team.
dude. I don't want to give a shout out to them. Fix him. Fix Denny Avdia. My fantasy season depends on it. Please, please
They can wait
do
till
some acupuncture. Do some acupuncture. Do some the cup thing with the heated cups. Do some
Thailand for some Thai massages.
whatever it is. Get Denny better. I also want to see him play, like, aside from my fantasy team, like if I have to drop him for him to be better, I don't think I would do that. But if I had to trade him for him to be better and I would get, 30% of the 50% of the value back, fine. I also just want to watch him play. I want to watch him in the playoffs. I like the Portland team. I think there's such good vibes. I like Donovan Clingan. I like Shaden Sharp. Drew Holiday is one of my all-time favorite players. I want to watch them in the playoffs. So please, Denny's medical team, not a special thank you. I want to give a special shout out so that you should help him, please.
Daily
I'm
motivation
begging you.
on the bud list.
I'm begging you. And we'll see you tomorrow.